Greetings, fellow Planeswalkers. I'm James, and welcome back to the Commander at Arms YouTube channel. I know it's been a little bit since we've done a deck tech, but here it is, a brand new deck tech for you today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video if this is something that you want to continue to see. Today we are brewing around Yarok, the Desecrated. Let's read the commander here real quick. It is 2 and Sultai, so black, green, and a blue for a 3/5 elemental horror with lifelink and death touch. And if a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time, which basically means it's going to be a Panharmonicon on a stick, on legs. Sorry, not on a stick. It is on legs because it is a creature. All right, let's get into it. Let's get away from the boring stuff, the usual card draw and ramp, or I mean card ramp, as I was about to call it. We have the original here. We have Arcane Signet. It is a 2-mana rock, taps for any color of mana. We have Coiling Oracle. This is green and a blue for a 1/1 Snake Elf Druid with ETBs. Reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it under the battlefield. Otherwise, you put it into your hand. We have Dimir Signet. It is 2-mana rock for 1 and tap. You can add Dimir colors. We have Golgari Signet. It's the same thing, but for Golgari colors. We also have Lotus Cobra, 1 and a green for a 2/1 snake with landfall. Whenever a land ETBs under your control, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. After that, we have Nature's Law. It is 1 and a green for a sorcery. To search your library for a forest card, put it on the battlefield untapped, then shuffle your library. We have Simic Signet, 2-mana rock, taps to add Simic colors. We also have Soul Ring. We have Thought Vessel, 2-mana rock that gives you no maximum hand size and also taps for 1 colorless. We have 3 visits. This is 1 and a green for a sorcery. The same thing as Nature's Law. Search your library for a forest card, put it on the battlefield untapped, then shuffle your library. We have Wood Elves lastly here, 2 and a green for a 1/1 elf. This is when it ETBs, you search your library for a forest card and put that card into play, then shuffle your library. Now let's get into card draw. We have Baleful Strix here as our first one. It is a Dimir colored 1/1 bird with flying and death touch. This is when it ETBs, draw a card. We have Elvish Visionary, 1 and a green, ETBs, draws a card. We have Flibble Flip. I love this card. It was suggested to me by my good friend Jared, and Flibble Flip is a 1 and a blue for a 1/1 legendary creature homunculus. This is when it ETBs, you draw a card. If it entered from your library, or if it was cast from your library, draw 2 cards instead, and then when it becomes a target of a spell, you shuffle Flibble Flip into its owner's library. We have Guardian Project. This is 3 and a green for a enchantment. It says whenever a non-token creature ETBs under your control, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control, which is fine for Commander because we don't have more than 1 creature with the same names, you get to draw a card. We have Icefang Quaddle. This is a Simic 1/1 snake, flash flying, ETBs, draws you a card, and as long as you have 3 or more snow permanents, it has death touch. We have Muldrifter. This is a 4 and a blue for a 2/2 elemental with flying. You get to draw 2 cards when it ETBs, and it also has Evoke, which means that it can come down for 2 mana less, draw those 2 cards, and get sacrificed. After that, we have Ristic Study, 2 and a blue, so that you're going to pay the 1, you draw a card. We have Sire of Stagnation. This is 4 and Dimir for a 5/7 Eldrazi with the Void. This is whenever a land enters the battlefield under your opponent's control, that player exiles the top 2 cards of his or her library, and you draw 2 cards. This is a powerhouse in this deck, and I cannot wait to be able to resolve my first Sire of Stagnation and start drawing cards off this thing. We have Tatsy over Benthic Druid. This is 3 and Simic for a 3/3 legendary Merfolk Druid. Whenever a land ETBs under your control, you gain a life and draw a card. We have Tireless Tracker. This is 2 and a green. Basically says landfall. Whenever a land ETBs under your control, you investigate, which means you get a clue. Whenever you sack a clue, it gets a +1/+1 counter. What's not to love? We have Wall of Blossoms. This is 1 and a green for a 0/4 plant that says when it ETBs, you draw a card. I'm seeing ETB a lot, and I love it. After that, we're going to go into the removal package. This is kind of how you're going to get stuff off the board if you don't want to verse it. We have Assassin's Trophy. This is a Golgari instant spell that says destroy target permanent and opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. So it doesn't even come in tapped. We have Beast Within. This is 2 and a green for an instant, destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. We have Druid of Purification. This is a 3 and a green for a 2/3 human druid that says when it ETBs, starting with you, each player may choose an artifact or enchantment you don't control, destroy each permanent chosen this way. So basically, with your commander art, all of these effects are going to be doubled, and it's going to be fantastic. We have Kenrith's Transformation. This is 1 and a green for an aura that says enchant creature. When Kenrith's Transformation enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Incidental drawing cards. I love it. Enchanted creature loses all abilities and is a green elk with base power 3/3. We have Massacre Worm. This is 3 and 3 black for a 6/5 worm that says when it ETBs, creatures your opponents control get -2/2 until end of turn, and whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, that player loses 2 life. I've done some phenomenal things with this in Taser, and I've done some phenomenal things with this in Yarok. I love this card. We have Meteor Golem, 7 mana 3/3 when ETBs destroy target non-permanent land, non-land permanent and opponent controls. We have Nature's Claim, 1 green instant, destroy target artifact or enchantment its controller gains 4 life. We have Oubliette. I pulled this card in Double Masters, didn't know what to do with it. Started brewing this deck, and this was the first card I could think of that I really wanted in the deck, and it's Oubliette. It is 1 and 2 green for an enchantment that says when it ETBs, target creature phases out until Oubliette leaves the battlefield. Tap that creature as it phases in this way. Auras and equipment phase out with it. While permanents are phased out, they're treated as though they don't exist. This is a 1 for 2 basically, because you're going to bring this down with Yarok out, get 2 triggers of that ETB, and phase 2 things out. We have Reclamation Sage. This is 2 and a green for a 2/1 ETBs, destroy target artifact or enchantment. And then, we still have 2 more cards here that I didn't quite see. We have Rishadan Cutpurse. These are cards I didn't even know existed until Paul was like, hey, these are really good cards, put these in there. And I went, okay, no worries. So this is 2 and a blue for a 1/1 pirate that says when an ETBs, each opponent sacrifices a permanent unless he or she pays 1 mana. We have Rishadan Footpad. This is 3 and a blue for a 2/2 pirate that says when an ETBs, each opponent sacrifices a permanent unless he or she pays 2 mana. After that, let's get into the artifacts here. We have Conjurer's Closet. This is a 5 mana artifact that says at the beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control, which means you get to flicker it, which means you get double ETB. You get 4 times ETBs of 1 creature if you play it and then flicker it the same turn. I love this card. We also have Lithoform Engine. This is a 4 mana legendary artifact with 3 activated abilities. The first one is 2 and tap. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. We have 3 and tap. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. And 4 and tap. Copy target permanent spell you control. I don't have to explain why and how this is good. We also have Panharmonicon. This is a 4 mana artifact. Basically says the same thing that Yarok says, but this only worries about creatures entering the battlefield. So if an artifact or a creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So it doesn't matter about lands or anything coming in. So you won't get, double landfall triggers and stuff, but you will get double creature ETBs, which is fantastic. After that, we're going to go into the instant package here. So these are all the ways you're going to like counter spells and do other fancy shenanigans stuff. So maybe keep your stuff on the board alive. So we have Arcane Denial as that first one. It is 1 and a blue for an instant spell that says counter target spell. Its controller may drop 2 cards at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep, and you draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. So just a fantastic counter spell. We have counter spell, 2 blue. Counter target spell. It's cool. We have Cyclonic Rift. Everyone knows Cyclonic Rift. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I mean, overload it, don't overload it. It's up to you. Choose it, whatever you want. Fierce Guardianship. It can be cast for free if you have your commander, or it costs 2 and a blue to counter target non-creature spell. We have Ghostly Flicker. This is 2 and a blue to exile 2 target artifacts, creatures, and or lands you control, then return those cards to the battlefield under your control. No, we're not playing an infinite combo with this card. This is just here for absolute value, and I love it. We have Heroic Intervention. This is 1 and a green that basically says permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible till end of turn. We have Lazotep Plating. This is 1 and a blue for an instant that says amass 1. You and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. And we have Mizium Skin. This is a 1 blue mana instant that says target creature you control gets +0/+1 and gains hexproof till end of turn, or you can overload it for 1 and a blue, which means each of your creatures you control get +0/+1 and gains hexproof. Alright, so we have 1 sorcery in the deck, and that is Balaged Recovery. It is 2 and a green for a sorcery that you may return target card from your graveyard to the hand, and you can also, on the flip side, it is a land that enters tapped. I'm not going to worry about that because we already play sufficient amount of lands in this deck, but if you need an extra land drop and you have this in your hand and nothing to get back, it's not bad to have. I'm not a huge fan of the modal MDFCs, but I mean, in most cases, I can see why they're very useful. Alright, so we're into the meat and potatoes of this deck. Let's get through all of the creatures here. We have 19 to get through. So we have Ancestral Statue. This is 4 mana artifact golem for 3/4. And this is when it ETBs, you return a non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. We have Archaeomancer. This basically ETBs and returns target instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. So you're going to get back some of your, maybe your removal spells. You're going to get back some of your evasion spells, or you can even get back some of your counter spells if you want to as well. We have Avenger of Zendikar, 7 mana, 5/5 ETBs, makes plant token equal to the amount of lands you have, and then landfall. Whenever a land ETBs under your control, you may put a +1/+1 counter on each plant you control. We have Eternal Witness. This is a 3 mana, 2/1 ETBs, return target card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Not to the battlefield, that'd be so broken, but back to the hand at least. We have Fierce Empath. This is a tutor card for creature cards with converted mana cost 6 or greater, so it's going to go and get you one of your win cons. We have Gonti, Lord of Luxury. This is 2 and 2 black for a 2/3 Aetherborn Rogue with Death Touch that says when it ETBs, look at the top 4 cards of target opponent's library, exile one of them face down, then put the rest on the bottom of that library in a random order. You may look at and cast that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast that spell. You're just going to be able to play your opponent's libraries just because why not? That's what Sultai wants to do. We have Grave Titan. 6 mana, 6/6 Death Touch. When it ETBs, make 2 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, and when it attacks, do the same thing. You're going to be, 6 mana, 6/6 and getting 4 2/2s, and then swinging, getting 2 more. Yes, please. This is an absolute win con in the deck. We have Grey Merchant of Asphodel, also known as Gary. 3 and 2 black for a 2/4 zombie. When it ETBs, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion of black, and you gain life to the amount of lives lost this way. We have Kodama of the East Tree. This is a 6 mana, 6/6 spirit with reach. It says whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, if it wasn't put onto the battlefield with this ability, you may put a permanent card with equal or less converted mana cost from your hand onto the battlefield. You play lands, play another land. Play a small drop, get another land. You can see the kind of thing we're going here. It's going to double as well, so you're going to get so much value out of this. We have Liliana's Spectre. This is a 3 mana, 2/1 for flying. It says when it ETBs, each opponent discards a card. 3 mana, discard 2 cards? Yes, please. I love this card. I even got that artwork for this deck as well. I love that art. It is fantastic. We have Lonus, Cryptozoologist. Not going to talk too much about him because I know we've seen him in the previous deck that I've done before, where he was the commander of a deck. But this is Simic for a 1/2 elf snake scout that says whenever another non-token creature ETBs under your control, you investigate, which means you get a clue token, and you can tap and sacrifice X clues. Target opponent reveals the top X cards of their library. You may put a non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield under your control. That player puts the rest on the bottom of their library in a random order. We have Rune Scarred Demon. This is a 7 mana, 6/6 with flying ETBs. It basically it doesn't mean vampiric tutors. It Diabolic tutors you a card, and with Yarok out, that Diabolic tutors you 2 cards to your hand. Yes, I want all of this, and I've been able to play it once, and it got countered, and I was very sad, but oh well, I moved on. We have Seedborn Muse, 5 mana, 2/4, that says untap all permanents you control during each other player's untap step. We have Sepulchral Primordial. This is a 7-drop, 5/4 avatar with Intimidate, and it says when Sepulchral Primordial enters the battlefield, for each opponent you may put up to 1 target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. And if you listen to the podcast, we had a very fun interaction with this card, so go check out that episode. It's going to be on the YouTube page or on Spotify or wherever you get better podcasts. Alright, we have Teferi, Mage of Zalfir. I wanted to play this card and couldn't find a place to play it, and this is basically a creature flash creature. It's a creature that gives creatures flash. That's a better way to say it, and also makes your opponents only play at sorcery speed. So this is 2 and 3 blue for a 3/4 human wizard with flash. Creature cards that you own that aren't on the battlefield have flash, and each opponent can't cast spells at only time they can cast a sorcery. So it kind of really slows your opponents down. You want to buy back some of your creatures to get them to ETB again? Play Team of Sabertooth, because I am. It is a 4 mana, 4/3 cat with an activated ability of 1 and a green. You may return another creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, Team of Sabertooth gains indestructible till end of turn. We have Thassa, Deep Dwelling. This is a 4 mana, 6/5 legendary enchantment creature god with indestructible. As long as your devotion to blue is less than 5, Thassa isn't a creature. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control, and it can also pay 4 to tap another target creature. So if you have infinite mana, which we don't have a way to get infinite mana in this deck, you can just keep tapping your opponents down and you can just get in for free attacks. We have Timeless Witness. This is the same thing as Eternal Witness, it's just 1 extra mana, and it has Eternalize, which means you can play it from the graveyard. We have Tireless Provisioner. It is 2 and a green for a 3/2 Elf Scout with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you create a food token or a treasure token. I have had this out 2 times while playing this deck, and it has been an absolute powerhouse. Play a land, get a treasure. If you have Lotus Cobra out, float a mana. You just get so much mana that you can do so many things with and just keep turning out and churning more and more things with Yarok. So that is all of the creatures, and we have one less to talk about, and that is the win con here, and that's Agent of Treachery, because what's the best thing about playing your deck is playing your opponent's deck. You just go away from them to resolve their best spells and then take them. So this is a 7 mana 2/3 human rogue. It says when it ETBs, you gain control of target permanent. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. This is an easy way to basically try and, not really try to, but you are going to be wanting to get all of your opponent's cards and permanents and then just say, well, I win the game because I have everything. Probably not the most funnest way for your opponents, and I understand that, but Sultai needs a way to win in Sultai, and there are other ways that we could have done this with Hoof and stuff, but we decided not to put that in there and kind of go for the more ETB route that was going to give us the, maybe not the most fun for our opponents, but kind of more fun for us, I guess. But this deck isn't super powerful. It's not like going to be breaking any kinds of metas anytime soon. I really enjoy this deck. I love this deck a lot, and we do have one more honorable mention card here, and that is Field of the Dead, because if you're not playing Field of the Dead in a Yarok deck, then I don't know what you can be playing this card in, besides maybe another landfall deck. This is a land that enters tapped, and then whenever another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, you create one 2/2 black zombie creature token, but with Yarok out, you get 2. So just another fantastic addition to be able to get a big board presence really, really quickly. And that's it. That is my Yarok the Desecrated deck. Tell me what you think about it in the comments below. And if you don't comment down there, just hit us up on Twitter as well. It's at CMDR@arms. If you want to get this deck or any other cards that you need to and support local game stores online while getting cards shipped to your house, do it through our TCG affiliate link, and that is tcg.com/commanderatarms. If you want to get a merch shirt, there's going to be a link in the show notes below as well in the description. It's going to take you to our Bad Fred Designs Co. Etsy page, where they have all of other cool Magic stuff, as well as our merch shirt. It comes on a Bella canvas. I'm wearing it right now. I wear it every time I record. If you want to become a patron, you can do that at patreon.com/commanderatarms and support the show directly and help us push more content out to your eyes and your ears. And with that, I'm James, and this has been another Commander at Arms Deck Tech. Peace.
See ya.